a nation forged, from revolution to the present day. Welcome to our timeline of American presidents, from George Washington to Joe Biden. The presidency reflects the evolving spirit of this nation. Join us as we explore the triumphs, turmoil, and legacy of American leadership. George Washington, the first among equals, 1789 to 1797. George Washington, a leader forged in revolution, became the first president, setting precedents that laid the foundations for American government. John Adams, steering through uncertain waters, 1797 to 1801. John Adams, a fiery revolutionary, guided a fledgling nation through treacherous diplomatic seas. Thomas Jefferson, expansion and exploration, 1801 to 1809. Thomas Jefferson, architect of the Declaration of Independence, oversaw the Louisiana Purchase and Lewis and Clark expedition, doubling the nation's size and charting the uncharted West. James Madison, the fires of 1812. Madison, a principal author of the Constitution, led the nation through the War of 1812, solidifying America's place globally. James Monroe's presidency ushered in westward expansion and solidified American dominance with the Monroe Doctrine. John Quincy Adams, a legacy beyond the presidency. John Quincy Adams, a seasoned diplomat, continued to serve his nation with an unwavering voice against slavery. Andrew Jackson, the people's president. A war hero and populist, he championed the common man, but his presidency was marked by the controversial Indian Removal Act. Martin Van Buren. Weathering the panic of 1837, a severe economic downturn, laying groundwork for the modern Democratic Party. William Henry Harrison, a war hero, met an untimely demise just a month into his term. John Tyler, thrust into the presidency after Harrison's death, faced resistance but expanded the nation with Texas annexation. James K. Polk, Manifest Destiny and Expansion, 1845 to 1849. Polk led the nation through the Mexican-American War, expanding U.S. territory and igniting debate over slavery. Zachary Taylor, a general in the White House, 1849 to 1850. A war hero, he entered the presidency as the nation teetered on disunion. His sudden death fueled tensions over slavery. Millard Fillmore assumed the presidency during the Compromise of 1850. His support for the Fugitive Slave Act deepened the divide. Franklin Pierce, the nation divided. Pierce's presidency saw the nation divided by the Kansas-Nebraska Act, igniting violence and foreshadowing the Civil War. James Buchanan's presidency failed to prevent Southern secession, setting the stage for the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln led the Union through the Civil War, declaring freedom for slaves in Confederate territories. Andrew Johnson faced the daunting task of reconstructing a nation shattered by war, leading to his impeachment. Ulysses S. Grant, From Battlefield to White House, 1869 to 1877. Ulysses S. Grant, a celebrated Civil War general, brought order to the post-war South, but his presidency was marred by corruption scandals. Rutherford B. Hayes, The Disputed Election, 1877 to 1881. His election, decided by a controversial compromise, marked the end of Reconstruction. Hayes's presidency saw efforts to reform the civil service and address a recovering nation. James A. Garfield, A Life Cut Short by Assassination, 1881. Garfield's presidency, tragically ended by an assassin's bullet, reminds us of the fragility of life and the dangers of power. Chester A. Arthur, A Legacy of Reform, 1881 to 1885. Thrust into the presidency after Garfield's assassination, he championed civil service reform. The Pendleton Act aimed to eliminate corruption and patronage. Grover Cleveland, the first of two terms, 1885 to 1889. Known for honesty and integrity, he fought corruption and frequently used his veto power. Benjamin Harrison between two Clevelands, 1889-1893. Grover Cleveland, a non-consecutive second act, 1893 to 1897. Grover Cleveland, the only president to serve two non-consecutive terms, faced the Panic of 1893. William McKinley, a presidency ended by an assassin. His leadership during the Spanish-American War expanded American influence, but his assassination ended an era. Theodore Roosevelt, the Trust Buster, 1901 to 1909. Roosevelt ushered in the progressive era with his Square Deal, breaking up monopolies and championing conservation. William Howard Taft, from President to Chief Justice, 1909 to 1913. He continued progressive era reforms and later became Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Woodrow Wilson led the nation through World War I, advocating for peace and democracy with his 14 points, laying the groundwork for the League of Nations. Warren G. Harding's presidency, marked by a return to normalcy, was tarnished by the Teapot Dome scandal. Calvin Coolidge, known for his quiet demeanor and laissez-faire policies, presided over the economic boom of the Roaring Twenties. Herbert Hoover's presidency was defined by the Great Depression, with his efforts proving inadequate. Franklin D. Roosevelt, the New Deal, and World War II. Roosevelt implemented the New Deal, providing relief, recovery, and reform during the Great Depression. He led the nation through World War II, becoming a consequential president. Harry S. Truman, the buck stops here, 1945 to 1953. Truman decided to drop atomic bombs on Japan, ending World War II. He oversaw the start of the Cold War and the Marshall Plan. Dwight D. Eisenhower, the Interstate Era, 1953 to 1961. Eisenhower oversaw economic prosperity and the interstate highway system. He navigated the Cold War, emphasizing peace through strength. John F. Kennedy, The New Frontier, 1961 to 1963. Confronted the Soviet Union during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Championed the space race. Ignited the civil rights movement. Lyndon B. Johnson, The Great Society and Vietnam, 1963 to 1969. Lyndon B. Johnson pushed for the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and launched the Great Society programs. His presidency was also defined by the Vietnam War. Richard Nixon, Détente and Watergate, 1969 to 1974. Nixon opened relations with China, pursued détente with the Soviet Union, but his presidency fell due to Watergate. Gerald Ford healing a nation, 1974 to 1977. After Nixon's resignation, Ford pardoned him in a controversial move to heal the nation. Jimmy Carter the Outsider, 1977 to 1981. He emphasized human rights and brokered the Camp David Accords, but his presidency was overshadowed by the Iran hostage crisis. Ronald Reagan, The Great Communicator, 1981 to 1989. Reagan ushered in an era of conservatism with tax cuts and deregulation, challenging the Soviet Union and contributing to the end of the Cold War. George H.W. Bush, A Thousand Points of Light, 1989 to 1993. George H.W. Bush presided over the fall of the Berlin Wall and the end of the Cold War. He led the nation in the Persian Gulf War. His presidency was marked by significant foreign policy achievements. Bill Clinton, the New Democrat, 1921. His presidency saw economic prosperity but was tarnished by the Monica Lewinsky scandal. George W. Bush, 9/11 and the War on Terror, 2001 to 2009. Bush's presidency was shaped by 9/11, leading to the War on Terror and invasions of Afghanistan and Iraq. His presidency was also marked by the Great Recession. These events defined his time in office. Barack Obama, Hope and Change, 2009-2017. Barack Obama, the first African-American president, signed the Affordable Care Act and ended the Iraq War. Donald Trump, America First, 2017-2021. Donald Trump, a businessman and reality TV star, promised to put America first, marked by controversy and 2 impeachments. Joe Biden, a new chapter, 2021, present. Joe Biden, the oldest president, took office amidst COVID-19, focusing on the pandemic and rebuilding the economy. Outro, a legacy of leadership. Thank you for joining us on this journey through American history. Each president has shaped the course of the United States. Their successes and failures guide the future of American leadership. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content.